but it'll serve you well. So I want to go over kind of what are some things that I do before bed and also early morning. So I'm kind of a big believer. How you start is going to dictate like how you finish, and that comes in terms of powerlifting, in terms of success, in terms of diet, all these things. So one of the reasons in powerlifting we really harp on having a really good dialed in and focused setup is, again, it's how you start. It's going to dictate how you finish. So if you have a better start, you're going to – oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, Joni's birthday is very close to mine. So absolutely, we could celebrate both. So it's really important how you start your day, how you set up a lift is really critical it's going to help build momentum, build positive momentum throughout the day. So I want to go through and we can kind of go in either order. So actually, how do you go to bed and how you wake up and what kind of happens at the end of the day and at the start of the day is going to be critical for your success. We want to start on a high note and we want to end on a high note. And then usually everything in between will usually fall into place. So right now I'm doing the 75 hard challenge. So if you guys have not listened to that episode or you weren't on that call, basically it's an aggressive challenge. It's not just about weight loss. It's about discipline and just overall personal development and transformation. So the challenge is that you're going to do 2 45-minute workouts a day. One is indoors, one is outdoors. So usually we do like a weight training routine and some sort of cardiovascular exercise. Doesn't need to be super intense, but one has to be outdoors. You need to drink a gallon of water. You got to do 10 minutes of education through like a book. You need to do, what was the other one? Gallon of water. I'm missing, I think, one thing. You have to take a progress picture every single day. So I'm going to kind of go through that and kind of go through how I check those boxes off and what's kind of keeping me on track. It's also going to allow me to adhere to my goals of my bodybuilding show. I don't know if this bodybuilding show is going to happen or not, but I'm planning on still being ready on May 30th. And I'm not going to lie, there's been some kind of thoughts in the back of my head. I'm like, it's probably going to get pushed back. Do I really need to be so strict? And I've been kind of definitely having those conversations with myself, and I haven't been perfect. But the key is if you have more wins than losses, that's going to allow you to move forward. So it's not necessarily about being perfect, but it's about developing these habits, and it's about kind of consistency over the long haul. That's why we have those shirts that say consistency and intensity. It's about working hard over a period of time. So I'm going to try to do my best to have this visible for you guys. So I want to go through the morning part of the routine first. Let me see if I could actually elevate this a little bit. Maybe that'll be better. It looks pretty good. Okay, so this is kind of like how I start my day. So this is kind of, I have an alarm set for 5:45. Typically, I'm up somewhere between 5 and 5:30. I usually don't. Today I had to use the alarm because I've been kind of working a minimum of 12 hours a day, just kind of transitioning the business to online. So I did sleep to my alarm this morning, but typically I'm usually up before my alarm. So I'm usually up early, and one of the reasons I like getting up early personally is that I'm usually kind of like not bothered, or I just can just focus on me for a little bit and check off a lot of my boxes. So the first thing I do is I post the check-in. Sometimes it's automated. Oftentimes or I'll post it manually, depending on if I have like a Monday motivation or a Friday fire prepared ahead of time. They might have a special message or not. But for right now, I'm posting my check-in immediately because that's important to me. And I'm sending my progress to my nutrition coach. So that's the first thing I do because I think it's important to have that habit of just checking in. So I want you guys to encourage people to do that. I think that's really important. It helps me hold you accountable, and it also helps me kind of assess how the group is doing as a whole. So I want you guys to also encourage. So one of the things that I want you guys to do, especially you guys that are being on these calls more consistently, you guys are going to be more leaders here. I want you guys to start to, it could be random or not, start to kind of tag people. Like after you check in, tag someone and like kind of encourage them to check in. If someone hasn't checked in a while, just shoot them tag them in the comments and just ask how they're doing. Ask them to kind of jump in. I think some positive peer pressure here is going to be really important, and it helps when it's not always coming from me. So be a good teammate. And just like if your partner's not hitting depth on the squat, you got to like let them know, right? You can't just be a cheerleader all the time. You got to let them know if they're not doing something right. So here's going to be critical. So that's going to be your first action right there. So for me, doing the 75 hard challenge, this has been really hard for me mentally as someone who struggled with my weight my entire life. Seeing the scale kind of fluctuate up and down is very hard for me mentally, but it's a good practice. And kind of knowing that I have to get on the scale every single day and take a progress picture every day, this really holds me accountable in a big way. So I get on the scale first thing in the morning, and then I take some sort of progress photo. And for me, usually I do a couple of quick poses just to practice, and I can see how my abs are showing, how my lat width is doing, and things like that. And again, it seems really superficial even me saying this right now, but that's the truth. That's what's going on right now. So one of my checklists for the 75 hard challenge is doing a gallon of water, which may seem like not a big deal, but it's a lot harder than it looks. So I do a liter of water first thing before I work out. I usually take in some sort of electrolytes as well. And then I'll have my pre-workout meal, and I usually have some sort of protein and carbohydrate source with lower fats. This helps me, again, I'm already at 25% checked off with my water goal for the day. And it's early in the morning, so that's huge. Then I'll hit my weight training first. In the past, I would do my cardio first, but just because I'm doing my cardio outside, that's flip-flop now. I'm going to document that. So I'm also getting some work done for social media. So I'm using some of I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. So I'm getting some content filmed, and I'm also getting my workout in. So usually my first warm-up set or so, I'll film it just so I can have some images that I could use either for that particular day or in a later post. So I'll kind of get some social media work done as well. Then I'll usually just take a quick break if I need to kind of just get my heart rate down. If I need to upload any of those pictures, make any of those videos, I'll do that really quick. So I'll just kind of whatever kind of social media stuff I need to do, I'll just do quick, just to kind of merge them. I might not do the descriptions and the annotations and the text, but I'll kind of get at least one video done for that day. So that's been really helpful for me to kind of produce more content. During my cardio, during my walking portion, I do walking and then I go up and down stairs at a high school. I'll do some sort of education during the less intensive part of the cardio. So when I'm just walking, I will listen to some sort of educational podcast. That's going to be helpful for me. And it's also kind of, again, killing two birds with one stone. It's not perfect. I would like to separate it. But again, if you're crunched for time, it's a good way to kind of get two things in. When I'm doing the intensive portion of my cardio, I usually switch to music. And then I might go back to my podcast when I'm kind of cooling down. After that, I'll do another liter of water. So by before 9 a.m., I have a lot of stuff done, and then I could actually start my actual work for the day. I might need to go to the bathroom. So I've been shooting a lot of podcasts. I've been filming a lot of videos. I have podcasts recorded through the beginning of June. So I'm very ahead with that. I'm really excited for stuff that's going to come out. I use this as an opportunity to connect with some people that I wouldn't normally connect with. We've got a lot of cool episodes coming up that are going to be really beneficial for you guys. So again, from 6 to 9, I have a huge chunk of my personal development stuff checked off already. And half of my water is done. I got a lot of good nutrition in already. I checked off 2 workouts, working my heart, working my muscles. So this is good. All of my me stuff is done. So one thing that's been also helpful for me, and I've been doing a better job of this, is also kind of not checking my messages and my emails until this stuff is done. So you don't want to let someone else dictate how you start your day. And that's something I've been guilty of in the past. Sometimes I kind of message people or start to check my messages too early. Now, I might send messages out, especially if I'm thinking about someone or if I want to check in with someone. When I was on the Stairmaster before, sometimes I would use that opportunity to check in with people because I can kind of just do that while I'm on the Stairmaster. So I've been kind of waiting to do my kind of check-ins and my actual computer work and things like that and more involved social media until probably after 9 o'clock. And then from 9 till usually 7 at night, I'm usually working pretty hard. And sometimes I'll be working from 9 to 9, depending on if I have a major project done or if I'm working on an article or something like that. But that's been kind of my day. It's been pretty long. I'm trying to cut back on my hours moving forward. But this is kind of getting me in a good groove. And again, from that first first 2 to 3 hours that I'm like up, I'm checking off a lot of boxes here. Now, not everyone may have the time to do this. I have really aggressive goals. I'm trying to get to 10% or lower body fat, but this is how I'm starting my day. Now, in order to start my day, I also need to know what's kind of happening before. So also what I do before bed is also really critical. So again, this is me personally, but I think this is important. Now, this process is going to look different for everybody, but these are helping me stay on track for my goals. So everyone's checklist, everyone's action items are going to be a little bit different. Obviously, if you have kids, if you have a significant other, if you have if you have a different job the time frame might be different. But in general, you could always get up a little earlier, and you could always get up a little earlier and go to bed a little earlier. That'll allow you to have some more time, and you can kind of play with that schedule. Now's a good time to kind of, maybe if you had the idea of getting up earlier, maybe now's the time to kind of start getting in those habits. So these are some things that I want to make sure that I get done before I go to bed. So number one, I need to make sure I'm in bed before 9 o'clock. Otherwise, I'm not going to get at least my minimum goal of sleep is 7.5 hours, so I can get a couple of those sleep cycles in. And I've been trying to start to increase my sleep closer to like 9. It doesn't always happen, but I'm getting a minimum of 7.5 hours per night. That works really well for me. And in order for that to happen, I need to make sure I'm physically in my bed before 9 p.m. I want to make sure I write out critical tasks for the day. Over here, I have 2 whiteboards. I have weekly and daily tasks, and I'll start to erase them. And I also have my desk calendar here. So, my papers just fell. So I have my desk calendar here, and then I have a couple of different whiteboards you can see on the fridge. So I have a whiteboard for daily tasks. I have a whiteboard for weekly tasks, and then I have the physical calendar for monthly and yearly tasks. So I try to be organized that way, and I kind of start to think long and short term for the things I want to accomplish. So I want to make sure I know what my critical tasks are for the next day, and I can start to check them off. And I try to put a time on them when I'm going to start them. I don't always necessarily have to finish them, but I want to at least have a start time for when I'm going to work on these things. I want to make sure my food is ready for the next day. So that's going to be really important. So I don't like to go to bed unless I have my food ready. Usually I'll meal prep anywhere from 1 to 2 times a week, and I'll usually cook in bulk. I usually get my protein source done, and then a lot of times my carbohydrate source, or like my egg whites, I'll do fresh, and I'll just cook when I need them. But I have everything pre-portioned out and ready to go, so I don't have to think about it. I update my tracking in MyFitnessPal, so I kind of know what I'm eating the next day. That's helped me personally. And I make any changes to my diet or workout ahead of time the day before. So I kind of know if I'm making any changes or modifications or progressions to my training. I'll have that written down. I also have a whiteboard in the garage gym, which I'll write my workouts on. I'll lay out my clothes for the next day, so that's already ready. So I don't have to think about, there's no decision-making fatigue for like what I'm going to wear and things like that. It sounds like a really simple thing, but it can really make a difference if you're kind of on the run. My phone is off. The lights are out, and then I put my blue light glasses on, which helps keep me to fall asleep, especially if I'm watching like Netflix or TV before bed. It helps me fall asleep quicker. It kind of blocks out the light. The light from the TV and the phone it kind of makes your brain think that it's still like light out, so that allows you to get to sleep a little bit better. And then I get my CPAP on, I got my eye mask on, and then I'm kind of ready to go. So that is my personal morning and pre-bed routine. And I hope that guys helps you out. And I invite you guys could share yours, or just, if you have any ideas or questions, let me know. I'd love to hear them.